Though he has yet to take his place in the White House, Trump has warned BRIC nations that if they attempt to replace the U.S. dollar with another currency, they will be met with 100% tariffs. Was this necessary? I'll give you my thoughts on it and what it means for both us in the U.S. and for the BRIC nations. Welcome to Gerald Khalil's Conversation Piece. I share my thoughts on social content, sports, politics, and entertainment. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So what is the purpose of Trump's warning? So he warned the BRICS nations that if they attempt to replace the U.S. dollar with another currency, they will be met with 100% tariffs. Thus, BRICS goods will become very expensive, leading to a drop in demand and export losses for BRICS nations. So let me just give you an example of that. Let's say a BRICS nation has a commodity that they want to sell in the U.S. economy, say a car. That car costs $15,000. They're going to get 100% tariffs on it, and it's going to be $30,000. And what that means is right after the retail cost is put on that, it's going to be something that the U.S. buyer is not going to want to buy. And therefore, it's going to put the BRICS nation who's selling that car in a bind because no one's going to buy it. And that's what Trump has planned. So next question you ask, okay, well, who and what is BRICS and why was it formed? So BRICS was formed in 2006. It was originally four nations, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. In 2009, South Africa joined, so that makes up BRICS. Now, there are other countries who have joined since then. Those countries are Ethiopia, Iran, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates. So BRIC nations, they make up 41% of the world's population versus the group of seven countries at 10%. Now, the group of seven countries, they're considered the world's most advanced economies. However, 43% of the world's GDP is concentrated in these group of seven countries versus 26% for BRICS. These group of seven countries, I want to tell you what they are. They are Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Now, BRICS was formed because these nations feel that the United States weaponizes the dollars against them. And you say, well, how do they weaponize the dollar? So they do things such as cutting the countries off from payment systems, freezing their dollar reserves, and also what Trump just decided to do, say, hey, I'm going to put a tariff on you if you do something. So that's weaponizing the dollar against them. And these nations, they're sick and tired of this, and they're looking to pursue ways of de-dollarization. So let me give you some background on the rise of the U.S. dollar and why it's so powerful today. So back in 1944, right after World War II, there were representatives from 44 countries that gathered together to establish a system that would stabilize the currencies and promote international economic cooperation. So you got to understand that right after World War II, the European nations were just in tatters, and the only economy, the strongest economy in the world at that time was the United States. So they decided to form this agreement. This agreement is called the Bretton Woods Agreement, and it established the U.S. dollar as the world's currency, and all other currencies would be pegged against the U.S. dollar at a fixed rate. Now, the U.S. government promised to exchange the U.S. dollar for gold at a fixed rate. And this gave the dollar a stable and reliable backing and made it an attractive currency for international trade and investment. So years later, though, under Richard Nixon, the dollar to gold system was discontinued, which was a surprise, and it just destabilized the international monetary system, and it created uncertainty, instability, and a lot of volatility. However, despite this, the dollar remained its strength due to the strength of the U.S. economy, the stability of the U.S. political system, and the continued use of the dollar in international trade and finance. And also the Federal Reserve's monetary policy controls of the money supply and interest rate. They kept inflation in check, and it also ensured that the dollar's value remained steady. So this stability was just attractive to global transactions, and it was used by international banks such as the IMF and also the World Bank, which further solidified its position as the world's reserve currency. This confidence in the dollar just made it easier for countries to trade with one another. And I want you also to take note that 88% of the world's transactions are made in the US dollar. Now, the BRICS, going back to BRICS, the BRICS countries, they use their combined currencies for transactions. Countries such as Russia, they prefer to do this due to the sanctions imposed against them by the U.S. Due to their war against Ukraine. But however, there's no unified currency. The countries also have different political, structural, and economic systems, and this can lead to conflicting interests. So just to give you an example of the currencies, Russia, they have the ruble. India has the rupee, and they do their trading with their own currency. And, this can kind of lead to conflict. And the thought they were thinking was to have their own currency among the BRICS nations. This is something that they're currently working on. And actually, they've been working on it for quite some time. So no telling if or when that will ever happen. So let me give you my thoughts on Trump's threat to the BRICS nations. My thoughts is that he didn't have to do this. The BRICS nations, they just lack common ground in many sectors, which I mentioned before, politically, economically, and structural. Right now, India and China, they're having disputes among its borders. Russia, of course, as you know, they're in a war with Ukraine. South Africa is suffering from high unemployment. China's economy is right now really struggling due to a saturated real estate market and a shrinking workforce. India and Brazil, now, they don't want any more expansion into BRICS due to, one, India not trusting China, and Brazil believes that its influence will be further diminished. You get more countries in there, it's just like Brazil's going to be like, hey, we were big on the stage, but now we're no longer there, or we're further down the totem pole now. And then again, the lack of a common currency, and where countries such as Russia, China, and South Africa, they would love to completely de-dollarize and stop using the dollar altogether. This is not India's position. They would still prefer to keep good relations with the United States. So things seem quite fractured at the moment. win in office, I will hope that Trump would attempt negotiation instead of threats. Because if he holds to these threats, he may find that even more nations will join BRICS, and they'll band together to form an economic front against the United States and its allies. Feel free to leave a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you in the next one.